Welcome to Fit Club Vegas, the ultimate fitness destination for visitors. Drop in for a day pass and experience our 10,000 square foot fitness playground. At Fit Club, you'll find state-of-the-art equipment and a sound system so good you'll pitch your headphones. Conveniently located 7 to 12 minutes from the Las Vegas Strip, Fit Club is a perfect spot for you to come get your pump while visiting Sin City. So come check us out at 4525 West Hacienda, Las Vegas, Nevada. Fit Club Vegas, more than a gym, it's a vibe.
All right, so we're back another episode of Cutler Cast, and we have someone special in the house, man. Mr. Olympia, which four-time.
Men's Physique, Mr. Olympia.
Are you a four-time?
I'm four-time. Just like you, man.
Finally, I got someone that's even with me.
Yeah, everyone's either behind or
Brian Shaw was a four-time champ.
Yeah, that was always the goal. I remember after my first Olympia, we sat down. We were probably with Phil and Hani at some point.
In San Francisco or something, I think.
I think so. That Hani's birthday party. Yeah, and I remember you got 3 more to go, bro. I was like, I got 3 more to go. And I remember I won that 4th one. That was ringing in my ears when I got off stage. I'm like, Jay told me I had to get 3 more to catch him.
I wanted 5, though, to be honest. That was like, because I wanted to be.
Your personal goal?
Yes, because I wanted to be where no one else had been. I guess no one's really 4, but Yates got 6, and I think 7 was Arnold at the time.
5 was always my goal. I mean, I have the cross tallies on my neck here for all the wins, and my goal was always to get that cross tally. And
you're not done yet, are you?
Man.
Hey, yeah, we got one more run in us, and if I can come in at my absolute best, I still believe, even though I didn't compete last year and I was injured, I've made some progress in the past year that I feel like can be competitive. Even in 23, I felt like I was competitive leading into that peak week. It was just that those finals couple days I had, I was running to the ground from all the interviews. I was big for me. That last Olympia was a lot about just trying to get my name back out there, rebranding myself, and letting people see the new and improved, evolved version of myself in 2023.
I mean, listen, I'm going to talk, and I'm going to say you're the OG of and the pioneer behind Men's Physique.
I appreciate that.
What's funny is, we're at a crossroad right now in the news. Men's Physique, there's like a lot of controversy because of what happened at the Arnold Classic. Through in people's eyes, some people. But you started as a bodybuilder, and then Men's Physique division came along. Talk a little bit about the early days, because, listen, it's transitioned into, these guys aren't, when they talk about Men's Physique, it's not what it was when you started. It was just like, okay, I guess beach body. These aren't beach bodies anymore. You guys pushed it. You guys are literally bodybuilders. I see you on social media all the time hitting all the bodybuilding poses that you can't necessarily hit on stage, because unfortunately it's a front and a back pose. But there's a lot of cool things they do. Milos showed us, he showed us that.
No, he did. No, he did like the.
There's a lot of wind up to what you guys do. It became more fluid, right?
Yeah.
But talk about the early days, because I know you won. Was it Contra Costa you won?
That was my first NPC win. I actually competed. Bodybuilding, the teen Contra Costa. I actually competed against Boston Lloyd in that show.
I remember. And
Hani was actually the MC. That was before I even met him. So we didn't even put that connection together until we rewatched some of the footage, and he was like, that sounds like me. I think it was you. He was, what show was that? I was like, it was the Contra Costa. He goes, I emceed that show. I'm like, what are the chances that, the alignment of how everything went,
What division did you win in bodybuilding? Middleweight?
Middleweights, yeah. I got nationally qualified as middleweight in 2011. And I went to nationals that year in Vegas. And to kind of scout out the competition, I want to see who I was going to be up against. I had never been to a national show before, so I wanted to see, what I needed to improve on to come back the following year and be a contender. And when I got there, I saw the middleweights. Majority of these guys are late 30s, early 40s, under 5'4", and they were just huge. I was like, that's not really a look I really want to go for. And not only that, how many years is it going to take for me to get to that level? I mean, these guys are in their mid to late 30s. It's a lot of work, and it never really was in my heart to be that big or have that size. That wasn't the look I was going for. And when I got to nationals, I saw Matt Krishner there, and he was the very first Men's Physique pro. And I think a lot of people forget that. Matt Krishner was my role model. The person I saw in the magazines, the person that I aspired to be like was Matt, and also Steve Cook. And as it's been how many years since they've been on stage, but I feel like they've almost been forgotten. And it's not fair to talk about, the pioneers of the division without talking about the guys that were the ones that influenced me to become as great as I was. And I saw a post this morning talking about like the top 10 most influential men's physique competitors. And, there were some names on there that I felt deserved to be on there that, may have gotten forgotten because they're not active, they're not on social media as much, and they've grown into, they're in their 40s, and they're just living in a normal adult life now. And those guys really set the foundation for me to have a platform like Mens Physique. If it wasn't for Matt, I probably would have never done Mens Physique, and I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Was Ryan Hughes also the Ghost? He was a pro.
He was. Right? I never competed against him. Okay. I think he kind of stopped after that. I know the name.
Yeah.
I know he did compete in that first year, which was, I believe it's 2012, that the pro
I remember
shows.
Everyone like Burton Hughes was there, and all these guys.
Even Miguel Aguilar, rest in peace, brother.
Of course,
but, he was one of the originals. He was also a great mentor of mine, and just even through my ups and downs through my career, he was always somebody that would call and check on me, or, hey, man, you're slipping up right now and doing all this stuff. And, in 2018, 19, when shit really went south for me, I remember my last conversation with him, I kind of blew him off. And like, since his passing, it's weighed on me because he's such an inspiration to me. Like, even with me opening my gym, I always bring up what Miguel had built, and he wasn't never really a top pro, but he was able to, take this profession and turn it into, a multi-million-dollar business. And talking about success in fitness, as a men's physique competitor, competing is only going to take you so far. It's a matter of what you're going to be able to do on the outside, off the stage. It's going to become lucrative for yourself. And, what bothers me the most is hearing these young guys, I want to be Mr. Olympia, I want to make all this money. And it's like, it's not how it works. Unless you're competing in the open division, we're not necessarily getting paid. And I feel that's a big controversy going on right now.
You just said it.
No, we didn't. No, I mean, keep talking about it.
Yeah.
It's a big controversy right now. And, when I first started competing, I think I took on the brunt of it for everybody to get paid what they're getting paid now. My first two Olympia wins was $10,000. The third one was 15, and my last one was 20.
Did you do it for the money though?
Absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not.
We talk about that a lot.
It wasn't for the money because there was no money. And, fortunately, I was aligned with, Hani, Phil, you. The very beginning of my career at 22 years old, I was sitting at a table with you guys. I had Phil as the mean big brother that picked on me. I had you as a big brother that gave me the advice and was nicer to me. But it was, I love both.
Well, you're
guys.
nice. Usually you're the bully.
No, I'm just kidding. He was a kid, man. He was a kid coming in. And remember, Mark won the first.
Do you remember sitting at Pittsburgh and I came walking in, I was wearing my skinny jeans. He goes, hey, what's it like walking around on your arms? Like,
really?
I was like, man, I got decent legs. And then after that, I was like, I'm going to start training my legs. And next thing you know, I got the best legs. And
I thought you were one. I thought you actually had, you were the first guy that really developed the legs like that, I felt like.
I've always
because, you had the legs for bodybuilding. Because to go back to it, so you just said, you know what, you didn't want to chase the bodybuilding dream?
I didn't.
Did you think a middleweight didn't have the potential to come up and...
It would have taken me a lot longer.
Yeah.
It would have taken me a lot longer. Then also, when I talked to Matt, he was on the covers of magazines. He was getting sponsorship endorsement deals. And, that's ultimately all I wanted. I remember walking my very first expo. I was seeing all the posters like Steve and Sadiq and Matt. It's like, man, one day that's gonna be me. I want to be, have that giant poster, people walking in. And it was just, it was a lot of motivation for me to see what they were doing and seeing the transition into men's physique. The opportunities started opening up. I started winning shows, and you start winning shows, you get more traction on social media. And, fortunately, I only lived about an hour and a half from Hani and the Evogen headquarters. So I had already started taking Hani's products before I even signed with them, and that was kind of how that collaboration came about. Was I was a fan of the products. It was up on the rise in men's physique, brand new division, and Hani didn't like men's physique to begin with. He didn't know anything about it. And, a lot of guys didn't have respect for it, and he took a leap of faith with me, and we were able to build something huge together. An international brand. We were still to this day. I hear about people watching Hani and I's videos, the FST7 training, everything. It's just, it gave me such a big boost and a huge head start, in the industry as far as being able to align with the right people and seeing how it was done correctly.
Well, let me ask you this. So you went from bodybuilding background and you trained for Men's Physique and you trained with Hani. You trained with you trained Phil. I'm sure you trained with a lot of the pros. How did that differ? Like, I want you to give, because I always say this, Men's Physique, it's not like they don't train hard. They train, but you were a hard trainer. You always were intense. I mean, you're an intense guy. Did it change a lot from bodybuilding versus Men's Physique?
I would say the first few years, absolutely, because it wasn't that we weren't going for the look that we're going for now. I remember I was just actually talking to my video guy about this, saying I was doing a lot more functional type stuff training. I would superset my exercises with one ab exercise with also some sort of hit exercise. I would be doing box jumps after a set of lateral raises, doing a lot of stabilization stuff, and that was the type of training because I didn't necessarily need the size that I had as a bodybuilder to come in. So I was kind of downsizing, just really focusing on the conditioning and density of the muscle, trying to improve my midsection. And as the years progressed, and as I started working with Hani, I adopted a lot of the bodybuilding philosophies and training and the intensity of the training, and the sport slowly started to get bigger and bigger. And I think the big transitional moment when Men's Physique, when this physique started changing, was when 2017 came around. And I came in 12 pounds heavier than the previous year. And that's when the guys started chasing the size because they had to try to keep up with me.
What was the cap then?
There was no weight cap.
Okay.
The weight cap just got implemented last year.
Okay. Hey guys, Jay Cutler here. If you have not heard already, I launched my own TRT clinic. TRT Kingdom is now live. If you guys want to schedule your consultation, please click the link below and you'll get all the information you guys need for better health.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It was just a height thing.
It was just the height thing. Not even as pros.
As pros, it was just open.
Yeah,
Once
open.
you won the amateurs.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
As an amateur, yeah. There was
And so you started at what weight did you start training at?
For bodybuilding, for Men's Physique.
For bodybuilding.
I competed at middleweight, so I would step on stage at like 164, 165.
What was the weight you started when you first picked up weights before the first day in the gym?
Oh man, I was like 7 years old, 8 years old.
Oh, really? That young?
My dad. I grew up in a weight room.
Okay.
My dad. We converted our 3-car garage into the weights. My dad has always been a lifter. He wasn't a bodybuilder, but he's big into bench press and all that type of stuff. My dad was super.
Still get some arms on him and stuff.
I mean, he's turning 70 next month, and my dad still looks great. He still exercises 3 hours a day despite all his back problems. But my dad just loves it. It's his passion. That's I feel like we bonded so much over bodybuilding and fitness in general. And honestly, I feel like that's what's helped keep him as good a shape as he has been all these years, is because of him being involved in the sport, following it. He follows the sport closely. My mom follows the sport probably closer than any of us. She knows what's going on before I do. And it's awesome because, at the beginning of my career, my parents, they weren't too fond of the idea. I mean, they knew what I was doing. They knew that the risks of the sport. My very first Olympia, they didn't even show up because they didn't support, the direction or the path or the things I had to do in order to compete at this level. And when they started seeing the success come around, they're like, all right, well, he is going to be the best at this. And, still to this day, they have their opinions on certain things, but they also know I do the best I can and take care of myself, working with, companies like Transcend that help make sure I'm staying healthy in my off season and periodically checking out me throughout my prep. It's just the important things with our health that my parents are most concerned about. But as they saw me rise up in the division, they became my biggest fans, and it meant a lot. Every single Olympia that I did win, my parents were there, and they were there to pray with me before I went on stage. And then 2018, my relationship with my parents wasn't very good. Same with my brother, and they weren't there, and I lost. So 2023, they were there in my comeback year, and unfortunately, I didn't win. But it was just a great experience. It was a win in a lot of ways for me, that 2023 Olympia, regardless of the placing on stage. And it's been a journey, and it's been a blessing to be able to do what I do and be able to have live the lifestyle I'm able to live.
Yeah. So they weren't necessarily supportive of the competition, but obviously your dad loved you working out. You were involved in sports in high school and everything else. What do you feel like obstacles as you were going? Was it the social media aspect? Was it trying to figure out the evolution of Men's Physique? Because it seemed like it kept changing. The poses changed. Mm-hmm. We've seen the shorts climb up a little bit. For a while it was like you're competing against guys that have no legs versus you who had some development, that shorts got tighter. like, is there a lot of, like, name some of these obstacles that you had to go through, like, you know, adapting
In regards to like the physique
in your
standpoint?
age? Yeah. Like, let's start with the physique and then maybe like social media, because like you were there for the early, 2012, Instagram kind of started around that time, 11, 12.
As far as
And you were the biggest on Instagram of.
yeah, me and Sadiq, we were always pretty neck and neck on our social media followings, and I give Sadiq a lot of credit. I mean, he elevated. If it wasn't for Sadiq, I wouldn't have pushed myself the way I pushed myself, or if it wasn't for beating Sadiq, I wouldn't have had the confidence I had, because, you know, when I was an amateur, I remember seeing Sadiq walk around, and he just had this aura about him when he walked around at these events, and he was the man. And I felt like I was chasing him. Even after my first title that I won in 2014, I had a lot of people saying that Sadiq should have won that. So, you know, I had the whole year as the champion being the underdog. And going into the 2015 Olympia, Sadiq just looked absolutely insane. He did a photo shoot, I think with like Jason Ellis, like a week out from Olympia, and I was like, damn, how am I going to beat that? And I got on stage the following week, and I managed to pull it off, and I beat him. And that reaction, I mean, it's all over social media. That was, Brandon Henderson, who trained with him yesterday, asked me what my most memorable experience was. He thought it was my fourth Olympia title when I got the perfect score, but it was that second one, because it just validated everything that I've been working so hard for. It validated the belief that I had for myself from the get-go, because when I switched to Mens Physique, there was no other reason for me switching, because I wanted to be the best in the world. And that was something I set my eyes on. That's something that I believed was going to happen, and I manifested in reality. You know, after the first Olympia, I took second place to Mark, and Mark was a lot older than me, and looking back, I was a punk kid for doing this. But I remember walking up to his booth afterwards, "Hey man, congratulations, but don't get comfortable, because I'm going to take it from you next year." And that's kind of where
That
But
sounds
that's confident, though.
Yeah, but
it
that's
is.
how-
But coming from a 22-year-old
Yeah.
kid to somebody that was like 34 or 35 at the time,
a little abrasive.
a little abrasive, not sure giving Mark the respect. And I pushed Mark's buttons for so many years, and you know, me and him are good now as I've gotten older. And I had apologized to him probably 3 or 4 years ago for just being a punk kid. I've had to make a lot of apologies the past few years to a lot of people, but I think that comes with being older and just recognizing the mistakes that I made. And you know, I'm a different person now, so I think a lot of people appreciated, you know, me coming back and recognizing the things that I did do wrong. But circling back to the question of, you know, what were the struggles?
Yeah, the challenges, like ever changing judges' criteria, social media. What do you post on social media? How do you come across? Because listen, let's be honest, you were abrasive. Like you were arrogant, in a sense, confident arrogance. I was the same way. People always said, Jay Cutler's arrogant, but then they meet me, they say he's the nicest guy, but I would never really, I was very intense.
Yeah.
I never smiled a lot unless you really knew me and I was comfortable. I just didn't interact with a lot of people in that sense.
I think guys had a hard time differentiating my confidence and arrogance. To me, I was trying to be confident. I never tried to be arrogant. I just came across that way. And I think a lot of it had to come to with just trying to figure out who I was and some own personal insecurities that I had. What was it? Did you think you looked great, or were you just thinking that everyone was whispering behind the scenes, he's a paper champion? That, but I'm also super hypercritical of myself. I don't ever look at myself like as good as I really am. You know, everybody tells me how great I was, but at the same time, I just never felt I was good enough. You know, there's a handful of times I've done Olympias and like that guy could have beat me. That guy might have been better than me. So even at the 2023 Olympia, I took 8th place. There's a handful of guys that placed below me that felt that should have beat me. I mean, I was off in 2023.
I felt 13, the same thing. You know, I beat Rami and Rolly that year. I finished 6th, and they were like 7th and 8th, and I'm like,
Rami looked really good that year too.
Did.
Yeah. So I mean, that's another reason why I would like to come back, is because I want to be able to show my best on stage. Like I said, we're 3 days out in 23. We're at Kiss Me Muscle Gym, and I took off my shirt, and like the whole gym stopped. Everybody's like, holy shit, like Buendia's back. And then I had Omar Ventura come up, cuts, who's some of the biggest coach in Mens Physique. Like, damn, dude, you're going to win this thing again. And like Sanjay was there to testify. I was confident, man. I was like, I walked out of that gym feeling like $1 million. Like, I'm back. I'm bringing something special. But all the stress I had going into the show, just being pulled in every direction. I had a lot of people coming over to the house to interview, just come say hi. They wanted to see how.
Well, you were spending time in Colorado too. I saw you were up there training. Yeah. So I mean, you're out of your element, but you probably did that like, hey, I'd get away from the chaos, right?
Well, I mean, I have a family now too, and from my previous preps, I wasn't always the easiest person to be around, so I just didn't know how I was going to respond to the certain things we have to do on prep to get to that level, and I didn't want to my wife or daughter have to be around.
You know
me
what he's saying, Matt, right?
Yeah,
he's not a good dieter.
So, dieter and amongst other things. So, but fortunately, like I feel like this was the last prep I did was probably the most level-headed I stayed. It was still a difficult prep. I dealt with injuries all the way through, but I feel like I kept my cool for the majority of prep. I mean, it's not like I had any outrageous blow-ups like I used to have when I was younger. I stayed pretty low-key as far as any hate or response on social media. I've learned to kind of like not take it as personal anymore. The things that I've realized now is a lot of people are just what are the NPCs people call them nowadays? Just not really like they're not real because we don't know them. They're just some fake Instagram account or somebody from another country. The things that bother me on social media the most are when I see people talk, but I know them personally. They have my phone number. You got a problem with me? Don't go post it to everybody on social media. Just confront me on it.
But you're a nice guy now. Like you're very soft and like you're not controversial, which I feel like maybe before you might have been. So it's like I don't feel like that's.
I mean, I got my opinions. I just learned to there's a time and place for certain things, and nowadays, cancel culture is huge. You gotta be really careful. It's like walking on eggshells is what you can say, and I feel like that's also why I'm not the biggest fan of how the direction of the division's going, just because everybody's gaslighting everybody nowadays, and there's, you're not rooting for that guy. You want to beat him. Quit gassing him up so much. Like, there's got to be a little bit of banter back and forth to generate hype, but it's got to be done on a respectful level and keeping personal shit out of it. But there needs to be more of that, and to bring excitement. And I think what's going on right now, is good because a lot of people are talking. A lot of people are talking, and might not be like positive stuff, but everybody has a right to their own opinion. But it's creating conversation. I think that's bringing a lot of eyes and some excitement back. Controversy is always exciting. People like controversy. But there's, like I said, there's a fine line between a good banter and then banter that's toxic. So, back when I was younger, I don't think I understood the differentiation. I like to push the envelope. I would challenge guys. I would run my mouth, and it created excitement, right? People followed. My views were insane. I mean, even when after Olympia, when I was the first one to speak up about Men's Physique not getting the respect it deserved in, I believe, 2018 or 19, I spoke on that.
Press conference.
No, it was at the press conference. I was actually in the Philippines, and I did an interview in the Philippines, and it got brought out. And I remember me and Dexter Jackson had some beef about it back in the day, and he didn't like what I had to say. And all the bodybuilders were saying, "Oh, Jeremy said he single-handedly rebuilt bodybuilding," and those weren't the words that came out of my mouth. Everything got twisted a little bit, and it was just Men's Physique's always been the bottom of the barrel in the eyes of a lot of competitors, especially bodybuilders. And there's some reason behind that I understand. I was talking yesterday about, the amount of respect I have for bodybuilders that I don't think a lot of these Men's Physique guys really understand. Yeah, we look great on stage. We work very hard, but what a bodybuilder has to do to get to that level, it's not something that we're able to accomplish that in a lot shorter amount of time. There's a reason why I never got past 215 pounds. I've been doing this for 18 years. Why am I not an open bodybuilder? I've been bodybuilding for 18 years. The only reason for that is because my off seasons, I couldn't afford to get too much bigger. That wasn't the goal, was getting bigger, let alone I don't have the discipline or want to diet or eat that much food year round. I just can't do it. And these guys are, their off season, they're taking just as importantly as their prep. They're getting all their meals, and they're consistent, not just 6 months out of there. They're around the calendar being consistent because they have to make the improvements every year to get on stage and be a little bit bigger, a little bit better, a little sharper. Whereas the Men's Physique division, now that we have weight caps, I was talking to Brandon about this. Like, we can't get too big on our off season because we're going to go over our weight cap.
Pacific West Injury Law. Injured? Call 602-HURT. Car accident? Call 602-HURT. Our firm is dedicated to you and your recovery.
I know, but you said something. I want to go back. You said training then versus training now for Men's Physique.
Yeah.
What is the difference?
It's evolved. I train like a bodybuilder. A lot of these guys have to push size. They have room.
That's what I'm coming.
They have room in their weight cap to get bigger. And looking at the guys that are in the top 5 now, I mean, a handful of them, there's a few of them I feel like could put some classic trunks on, and may not be Olympians, but they can compete with some of the pros for sure.
I think Brandon could.
Absolutely.
Chiron, didn't he?
Chiron could. I mean, he didn't actually get himself on stage, but I think he could have done decently well for himself.
Nick here at trains at Dragons. Nick, he's classic. He went to classic.
I mean, he had a
crazy upper body.
I met that guy.
He won shows.
Before, I met Nick when he was like 17 years old at EOS in Marietta, and I was Mr. Olympia at the time, and it was cool to see him grow and evolve into the competitor he is now. And what he's been able to accomplish in the last 2 years as far as the size he's put on, that goes to show the difference between men's physique and bodybuilding. He's a classic competitor, but he's put in the work in the offseason. He had a long offseason of consistency.
But I say this all the time because I always say when I say male, female bodybuilding, I don't consider men's physique. I consider them bodybuilders because these guys now, I mean, I sat dead center at the Arnold Classic and I watched all these guys come out between Ali, Aaron Banks, obviously, I think he's just longer. He's got the longer femurs, so his legs don't appear as big, but he's still got
good legs.
Yes,
yeah.
He does. I mean, obviously, like people say, well, his calves. Well, listen, man.
A lot of genetic.
I mean,
there's a lot of pro bodybuilders that don't have good
calves. He didn't have calves. I mean, the guy from Brazil, Diogo, all these guys, like they're all developed, right?
Yep.
I mean, I don't see a difference. I think they all train like bodybuilders.
And that's what I think where the Arnold statement comes in is like, why don't we show our legs then? But then that blurs the lines.
Do you feel it was insultive that what Arnold said, or do you think it was just?
I think he could have said it differently.
Or did he say it too many times that it maybe that caused? Because he said it on the webcast and on the
essentially what he said was, he can see that the guys have legs. Well, why don't they show them?
So who is the?
I don't think it didn't come across that nice.
I think throughout the years, he's kind of poked that division a little bit. So that's probably why him saying it like that.
I think the biggest reason why the men's physique guys are upset is because we've been there a long time now. It's not like this is a brand new division. We've worked our way up. We've gotten better, and we still get mocked. We still don't get the respect that the other guys are getting, and I don't think it's fair. When we are part of this organization, we are at the amateur level bringing in a ton of revenue. There's more men's physique competitors at the amateur level than any other division. Yeah. And, I think that holds a lot of weight for what this sport has grown into over the last 10 years. Yeah. Those numbers when I was competing as a bodybuilder, we didn't have those numbers. The shows were a lot smaller, and ultimately as a brand, it's elevated this whole organization vastly worldwide. Now we got guys in India, we got guys in the Asian countries that don't have the genetics necessarily to be an open bodybuilder. We're built for this division, and that's opened up the doors and opened up a huge revenue stream for a lot of people, not just NPC, but promoters everywhere across the world to, be successful.
Can I ask you a question? You've seen men's classic physique. Like they gained poses, correct? Did it originally start off with a certain amount of poses and they
added? It started off with like 4 or something. Then it went up. What do they have now? 6?
Everything except for the front lat spread and back lat spread, I think, and most muscular.
No side tricep either, right?
No side tricep.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, do you think men's physique could, you have a front and a back pose.
Should they add a side?
I think
because they kind of do the side.
I've always said men's physique posing is boring. When we first,
right? That's why, Jeremy, is what I'm saying, and I'm saying this in a respectable way. When people's perception is those guys, they come out and they stand, but listen, it's not easy to stand there and have, you have to have crazy ab control, not only to the front but to the side. All those things that you guys do. Some guys stand like this. Mm-hmm. Some guys stand a little bit, or some guys are straight. No one's straight on like a bodybuilder.
Not like it used to be. When it first started, it was just straight front, back, no transitions, nothing. And I actually, with me and Omar Ventura, I remember him pulling me off the stage in the Excalibur in 2012 was one of my last. Actually, it was my second to last amateur show. Hey, he's like, let's try something different. He's like, you ever seen the old comic books, how Superman stands? It's like, yeah, I want to see you try to hit that pose with the slight angle at the hip, and doing that. And then it stuck. And, as people started emulating it. And I remember the first few Olympias, I was getting criticized for not standing straight on. Jeremy's bending the rules. If he stands straight on, he can't beat us. And then immediately the year after I retired, it became the new mandatory pose. So, it's evolved, but then it comes down to the posing. I mean, yeah, I get it's not classic.
What would you throw in there?
It's tough because then you're going to start blurring the lines.
Yeah.
I would think some type of side pose with how small some of the waists
are. A lot of the other organizations do still implement
around the world.
And I think the very first year of Men's Physique, they had a side pose. To be honest, I remember I did do it
because just think of how small some of the waists are and how wide the shoulders are.
I agree.
Illusion.
I agree.
Why not?
You just do in quarter turns, and we did do that the first year I competed. I remember doing side poses. Yeah, I mean that's definitely something they should maybe even just throwing an ab shot. Doing something like that. If they're so core focused, why not let us do an overhead ab shot? That would be cool.
So the Arnold, what do you think about some of the guys saying, "I'm never doing the show again"?
I thought you said you would backed it up.
I didn't say. My comment was I was the first one to speak out on Men's Physique not being respected in 2018 or 19. I said nobody backed me up then. Hopefully the guys can come together and make a change. What I mean by that is the prize money. I mean we are getting the bottom of the barrel of prize money. Obviously we're not going to get paid what the open class does. We're not going to get paid what classic does. But I mean. What they get paid this at the Arnold? 25. I mean,
what other shows are more than that? The Olympia,
Dubai.
I think Olympia was 50 this year.
It's Dubai got 25 or 40.
I know, but in defense, like it's 500 for first for open men. Second was 150.
Yeah.
Okay. The Olympia was 600.
What did the classic guys get? 50 or 100
for what? Olympia?
Arnold.
I think it.
60. I think they got 50.
50
at the same time, I think they should be getting paid more. Classic guys, that division.
The problem is, I'm going to ask you a question, okay? They hold Men's Physique and Classic Physique on one night. Is it going to sell like the open class?
No.
Not yet.
No. And it won't.
Ever?
Classic potentially, but Men's Physique is not enough. It's not enough.
I know, but if you're the biggest amateur division in by far, I promote shows, Jeremy, so I know I'm on this exact same page, and I'm not trying to
from an entertainment standpoint, though. It's more entertaining to go watch
bodybuilding. Entertaining?
Oh, I love watching the routines.
People want to see freaks.
I get it.
Yeah, but also the art that's displayed through the posing routines. I mean, watching Logan Franklin pose on stage was. But
we're talking classic. I'm talking about open. Is it just we want to see the freaks more than because the posing is definitely classic posing is unbelievable, right? Some of these guys, between Mike and Logan, that alone is worth watching.
Absolutely. I'm equally as impressed watching the Men's Physique guys. I think from my perspective, I know what the parameters are of the sport. So, these guys are getting better and better every year. It's fun to watch. From an audience standpoint, getting up there and watching a guy just turn front to back, and it's not going to be, we don't get the minute and a half routines of, displaying, our physiques to the best ability, showing the art and the passion behind the posing routines. Going back to Logan's routine, it was emotional. It was, you can see.
And he got cut off, by the way.
It did. And, but seeing
it's almost like a Circus Soleil.
Seeing the amount of work he put in.
He's painting a picture.
He is. But you can, I said that to Logan. I was like, it was just emotional. Like you can see the hard work he put in through his posing and how much it meant to him. It was beautiful. And, Men's Physique, we aren't able to display that, because we're so limited on what we're able to do.
And they stretch it out as much as they can too with the extra stuff, which they don't necessarily like as the judging panel. Yeah, right. There's not too much.
It's tough because, like I said, the Men's Physique division, it holds a lot of weight. It's a big part of this sport. And, would the whole organization be where it's at right now from a financial point of view? Not only that, but from a popularity, because a lot of guys, started liking Men's Physique and then they transitioned to Classic and then they start getting more interested in the Open. It's a good gateway to the sport.
I think when you're talking about the league as a whole, yes, but when it comes to an independent promoter, they don't have access to that. Like an Arnold where they invite 12 people. So they don't have access to those tens of thousands of people. It's just, these are the guys we're bringing in, and this is the prize money. These are our sponsors, and this is what we have. But he's also an open guy, and that's what he's a personal fan of. Like, if, for example, if you wanted to do a show, you could say, I'm putting up $100,000 and I'm putting 10 for the open bodybuilders, but that's your right as a promoter, and this is your passion. Yeah. So I kind of understand the Arnold side of things too.
Yeah, no, I do. I get it. And personally, like, I've always wanted to show my legs off. That's why I wore the barely 15-inch shorts on stage in 2023. I tried to show my legs. I worked hard on my legs, and I brought my best legs I ever had on stage. Probably the best legs that were ever on the Men's Physique stage in 2023. So I was trying to push the envelope with how short I can go with my shorts.
And I'm sure neither of you guys know the answer, but is there a reason that they won't bring the shorts up 3 inches just to show?
They did. They brought them up 3 inches.
Like 2 more inches. Is there a reason? Like, would it harm anything? Would it ruin by doing that? It maybe harm guys that don't have legs.
I might have a few more years left in me.
All right, well, let's start the petition right now.
It's going to weed out.
People are going to love and hate
It's going to weed out a lot of guys. I can tell you that. Of course. It's going to weed out a lot of guys.
If you're trying to be the best in the world,
I'm not opposed to it. Yeah. I'm not opposed to that at all. But from we're talking from a business standpoint, we're even seeing a drop off of numbers from Men's Physique lately because of how much it's elevated over the years. It's become more of a far-fetched goal for the everyday guy. Yeah. Back when we first started, some guy can get in the gym for 3 or 4 months, get a six-pack and step on stage and turn pro. I was 157 pounds when I turned pro in Men's Physique. I was 161 when I won my first Olympia. That physique nowadays probably wouldn't even win a regional show in the NPC. And that difference makes the sport more intimidating to people that are trying to start.
I think, but there should be a big disparity between the amateur and the pro ranks in any sport.
They gave us different weight caps.
That's what I want to ask you, though. So there is different weight caps, but I don't know this because I don't follow Men's Physique, but is there anyone transitioning from amateur? Because obviously there's a gap. Like, you turn pro, are guys coming right out of the amateurs and going right to winning shows and qualifying for the Olympia and doing that well?
I'm trying to think of recently.
Okay.
I think recently,
like, Aaron Banks, I know, came, like, he got turned pro, and then, but I consider that years ago, but I'm saying lately. Is there anyone
I'm sure, not at the top of my head right now, but
I'm sure there's people winning shows because there's I don't even know how many Men's Physique shows there's.
But not like it used to be. No, you have to work your way up in the rankings. And there's so many competitors nowadays, too, like, it's easy to get lost in the mix, especially if, the judges haven't seen you before. It's tough, especially on Olympia stage when you got like 50 guys competing, and it's really hard.
That's what I was going to ask you too.
Yeah, what can we do about that?
Do you think there should be a cut round, Jeremy?
I had an idea. I actually thought about this last week. I think that they need to do a pro Olympia qualifying show. I think that what they need to do is they need to have pros come in, do their pro shows, and if they win a pro show, they qualify for the Olympia qualifier. And they have a few Olympia qualifiers, and the guys that win that, let's say 15 or 20 Olympia qualifiers. So you got to win a regular pro show that gives
qualifies you to
for the Olympia qualifier. You hold 15, 20 Olympia qualifiers across the world to give everybody an opportunity. And the winners of that Olympia qualifier are the ones that get to grace the stage at Olympia. What I feel so bad for is the 40 guys that travel all across the world to come on stage at the expo. They have all their family come out, and they're done after the expo. They don't get to go on the big stage. They work their asses off. I mean, I never got to step on the big stage as a competitor until 2023 because we're all in the expo, which was fine back then. But
what about if, because I don't know how hard it is for you guys to hold your condition for a couple days. What if they did that?
I think it's unfair. You can't do that.
The day before.
Dude, you can't. What are you going to peak twice? That makes no sense.
Hey, you have to peak twice as an open guy.
No, but water, everything else. I mean,
I'm just thinking, what if they did?
They're still not going to get a fair shot.
Yeah, you're still wearing 50 guys out there.
Yeah, it's too many. You know what I mean? So, yes, we can talk about this, and obviously they're going to have to come up with a solution because, like he said, the division is continuing to grow all over the world.
Eventually, you have 100 people there.
The international is going crazy. And like you said, I mean, I heard Ali's interview, and he said, in the Middle East countries, Men's Physique is it.
India,
that's all there is. Like, people aren't bodybuilding. Yeah. They're bodybuilding competitions. They're doing men's physique. But is it really a stepping stone, Jeremy? Because I hear people argue that everyone wants to be a bodybuilder, but they want to start with men's physique.
Logan Franklin, second place. Matt Grego, third place. Micah DeBoll,
I know,
fourth
but you
place.
said...
Even Stanimal started. He went through all three
I saw
divisions.
him yesterday. Stan did all three divisions.
I know, but you were a bodybuilder and said, I want to do men's physique. So I
was only 21 years old, though.
What if now, you have a, like, you're talking about classic. It sounds, there's always talk about you going to classic physique.
If it wasn't for my ruptured Achilles last year,
you're heading in that direction.
I was. And I always said I wanted in my career doing a classic physique show. I felt like if I can do a classic physique show, make it to Olympia stage, I would not be a top 10 guy, but just to grace the stage on Olympia as a classic physique competitor would have been a win for me. That was something I always
But it's still not
to do.
out of the question.
I'm getting older, man. I got kids and a family. I got a gym opening.
You ain't that old.
Come
on.
I've been competing for 17 years.
Okay, but I'm going to ask you a question. Has there been a peak of men's physique? I don't know how has
much
it gone like this, or is it like this? Because you have to give yourself some credit. You just mentioned that, like when you were touring in the Philippines. I mean, obviously you represent your heritage, right? I mean, it's huge. And I always said, like, you had the perfect frame for men's physique with the small waist and, the round body parts. Do you think it's hit a peak and come back down and gone back up, or is it just a steady climb?
I think the physique has consistently gotten better. But how much better can they get without crossing those lines? Because a lot of these guys up top can stand next to, from the waist up, can stand next to some of these classic guys. I wouldn't say the top 5 or top 10 classic guys, but I remember being backstage in 2022. I wasn't competing. I was coaching one of my athletes from the Philippines, Joven Sagabain, and they were getting tan backstage, and Rough Diesel was getting tan right next to him. And I was looking at these guys side by side, and I'm like, Rough is no bigger than my guy from the waist up, no bigger. But when it comes down to the legs, it's just I think a lot of men's physique guys still aren't training legs like they should be. They just
don't really need.
They don't know how to tap into that mentality.
Did you love training legs?
Yeah. I mean, it's a battle.
You would squat heavy, and you did it all.
I did it all. And the thing is, you gotta fall in love with that pain. Like, I would look forward to going in there because you're about to struggle. Because the feeling you get after you walk out of the gym on a solid leg day, your legs shaking, you accomplished something. You worked your ass off. You fought through the pain.
Yeah, but it also got you injuries, bro.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the injuries. I mean, you've had a few.
I would say my injuries originally stemmed from playing football in high school. I herniated my lower back and neck my senior year, so that's something I've always battled throughout my career. Not back then too. Social media and like squatting and deadlifting wasn't a big thing. Like bench press was everything growing up as a kid. So I didn't even understand the proper biomechanics or proper form and technique of those lifts, and I think that's what hurt me. I have a video of me deadlifting 500 pounds, like just back arch, just yanking it off the ground. I mean, that's where the injuries came in, was with poor technique and everything. And that comes down to your flexibility, range of motion. And, a lot of people aren't prioritizing that. And they also aren't taking the time to really understand how to properly train. A lot of these guys have gotten away with genetics and, dieting and supplements and stuff to help get them to where they need to be. And I think that's one of the biggest differentiations between the divisions is some of the knowledge as well.
But you did the bench press and
Tore my pec.
Why'd you do that?
Because I was raising money for a charity. Decent reason.
But you know what though? But even at that, those are heavy dumbbells. It's the same that open guys use.
No. What? No, he did a bench press.
I was bench pressing 405 and I snapped it.
But he wasn't warm and whatever. He just did it. He was in
okay.
California doing this.
Hani told me the day before, don't bench press. I'm like,
and you just did it. Like, looking back, is it one of those things? I tell everyone, like, once I started getting paid, I got away from the bench press. And
Hani told me that from the beginning of my career, and I was just a stubborn ass, never listened. I didn't even
so
call.
Can you
call him for like 2 days.
Give the people the advice right there.
Don't bench press. Don't bench press. We were in London a few weeks ago with Vanquish, and Johnny Munster, he's a big social media guy. He's bench pressing like 435 on there. I'm like, are you warm? Yeah. I'm watching him do it. He's like struggling on the third rep. I had to turn around.
It's scary, right? Then whenever you see someone benching, don't you like fear, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to see this?
I can't watch the videos. The guys
of course, yeah.
muscles.
People send me that stuff,
Can't
and I'm
watch
like,
it.
I can't watch.
Can't watch it.
Because you know what it feels like. I remember when I tore like that electric shock, but I'm sure you know what it. And you didn't even have a crazy tear, right?
Oh, it was bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you have it repaired or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tendon off bone, muscle off tendon.
Okay.
It was bad. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like Kevin Leverone tore his and right back to bench
and that's
press and
one.
five
He was
plates
one.
again.
He was one of my motivations.
He was an inspiration to
coming
you.
back.
Yeah. So you blame Kevin, you know?
I feel like I did a lot of people always compared my preps to Kevin. Like, 'cause I would off season, I'd fall out of shape. I'd get small, and then prep would start. And I'd grow into the shows and look great. So I'm pulling a Kevin Leverone.
I feel like though Instagram, when I talk about the peaks of Men Physique, like there wasn't any, like at the time, like you were climbing, I watched your Instagram go like crazy. And remember, we looked at that as like an achievement.
Yeah.
Like, I went from like magazine covers to social, like I had Facebook. I remember we used to talk about this.
Yeah.
Like I had a crazy Facebook
06.
page.
Yours started in
And it
06.
was like I had the highest in the whole fitness industry. And at the time in your division, I mean, you were kind of the leader in that. If you, I don't know if Sadiq had more, but like it seemed like you were growing. Do you remember certain days that you'd see like thousands of?
Oh yeah, I mean,
and like what content you posted and.
I mean, on my Olympia press, my Instagram would hit like 150 million impressions a week. It was insane. I mean, everything during that time, everything I touched was turning to gold. It was incredible.
And brand deals and talk about the like the financial reward you finally. I mean, you were one of the biggest earners at a point.
Yeah. I still feel like I'm doing pretty well for myself right now, despite being only on stage once in the last 6 years.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like in the early years, like you sit there and say you're winning 10 grand, but
I want these, and that's
some of these years I were making a few $100,000. I'm sure.
I was doing. I've cleared 7 figures a few times in my career annually.
That's awesome.
And that's something that I feel a lot of these guys aren't aware they have the capabilities of doing that. But it's not going to be done on stage. It's going to be done on what you're doing to market and brand yourself. These supplement companies nowadays they don't care what you place. That's why you're seeing a lot of these influencers that don't even compete, getting the deals and making the money. And
I'm going to let you chime in.
I think that's, I know early on in my career, bodybuilders weren't doing content. They weren't doing social media, and I was. And I think and they saw me, started getting endorsement deals, and I started making money. I bought a Lamborghini, and that pissed a lot of people off. I understand. You guys have been doing this for 20-something years, putting your body through hell, investing so much money into this, so much time into this, and you see some 22, 23-year-old kid that's been working out for, competitively for 4 or 5 years that's landing these 6-figure contracts. I can understand that, but at the same time, I was doing what I needed to do off the stage to make the money, and I tried explaining this to some guys. I've had a handful of bodybuilders in my career message me and be like, "Hey, man, what are you doing? Like, how can I do that?" And that I always appreciated the guys that were humble enough to come and ask me, because I was always more than willing to give them the advice and the critique and showing them the ropes of how to make money on social media via bodybuilding. I've made for 4 Olympia wins, I made $55,000 in prize money for 4 Olympias.
And you're not mad about it.
I'm not.
You don't
mad
come
about
here with
it.
a chip on your shoulder and but I feel as someone that, like I said early, one of the OG guys, I think you can give a lot to the industry at this point. I feel like there's a position for you to really kind of mentor a lot of this younger generation in a sense.
I agree.
And I think they all look up to how you did it.
To a certain degree, I feel like a lot of these men's physique guys, especially the pros, they don't engage in me very much. I don't know what the reasoning behind is that. I don't know if I rub people the wrong way still, or I don't know if people hold my past against me. But I feel that, I don't feel like the men's physique guys nowadays give me credit, I guess. I don't know. My name
Respect?
A little bit of both. I mean, I don't really, it doesn't bother me. I'm doing my own thing now. I don't live for other people's approval anymore, which was a big part of my life before, trying to get everybody to like me. And you're never going to win that battle. There's always going to be somebody out there, unless you're Jay Cutler, who everybody likes. But
he's the ultimate politician.
I've never heard one bad thing about you ever. Whenever I have people ask me about you, you've been the greatest.
I don't get in deep. I always try to be there for people no matter what. I give.
Yeah, you answer my phone calls. You answer my text messages.
I'm respectful to everyone, because everyone has a passion in what they do. Listen, I love your transition to what you've done. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Talk about the worth of someone.
No, at the end of the day, you took a platform and you used that to go get the big money.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to do that. Whether it's you or look at Chris Bumstead. How much you think he's made on stage? I can assure you, he probably makes more every week than he's made in his whole career on stage.
More in a week than I make in a month, in a year.
No, I'm saying that's compare the prize money.
I'm just saying
$50,000.
There's people out there that the people that are not concerned with the prize money realize the real prize money is off the
if you're
stage.
concerned about $50,000, you got other problems you need to worry about. That's the thing.
Look, I can even take that to Regan as well. He's probably made $50,000 in his whole career.
I know, but don't you think it's a great tool to have that title to be able to?
Yeah,
if you didn't have the title, would you have had the ability? So when they say I'm gonna X out a contest because we're not getting enough money, and we started this conversation, don't you think? I can tell you those Arnold titles, and I got paid decent money. Nothing. What it is now.
The amount of money. Sorry to cut off. The amount of money that he wanted wouldn't even equate to the amount of publicity and exposure he just got from winning that Arnold Classic.
There's pictures all over the world with you and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Not only that, but he's on every single platform right now, not because of when he spoke out about Arnold. It's because he won it and he's been on a run and he's moving up in the industry. He's a phenomenal athlete. We're talking about Ali Bilal right now, obviously. Yes. And it's just sometimes you gotta know your role. You haven't been around that long. You haven't. And there's a lot more in this industry than I'm sure he has even learned yet. And there's a certain way of going about things in this sport respectfully and, honestly knowing your place.
The two biggest titles, Jeremy, are Arnold and Olympia.
Yeah.
And that he's one step. I mean, he's going against Ryan in September.
Brandon's coming back too.
That's right.
And I might be on that stage as well.
Yeah. I like that. I like that, by the way.
He's coming back.
Yeah,
Can you just make an announcement for us, please?
If I
the camera's
like
right.
I said, if I have the time to bring 100% to a prep, I will, because there's nothing less than 100% is going to be able to beat these guys.
So tell me now. I mean, 2 children, life changing for you. You said I read some post the other day. The last 4 years have been the best of your life, right? Is your daughter 4?
Yeah, she just turned 4 last week.
I saw the post and I said, I like this. I like to see that because, listen, I know you personally, so I know the emotion side of you. There's a lot more to your life now. Business, talk about first of all, the kids, how that is important to you, your wife, that structure, because I can tell you my career was built on structure.
Yeah.
How important is it?
It's huge, and it's my children, my family, my wife are the most important thing to me. My whole career, it was all about me. I was number one on my list of who to take care of, prioritizing myself, very selfish in so many ways. And, that ultimately led me to a place where I was lonely. I had people, even my family members distance themselves. And that hurts you. That hurts the heart, hurts the soul. And, eventually when you can have everything in the world, but if you're alone, what's the point? And, since having my kids and getting married, it's opened up my eyes to what real life is and what being a man is. There's nothing more masculine, I feel, in this world than being a good husband and a good father. And
it makes you great with other relationships too, I'm sure, with family members. Everybody.
Tighter with my family and my brother and my parents than I ever have been. My friend circle's gotten a lot smaller, as you get, as you get older, I have a limited time of freedom, or not freedom, but a limited time I give my time to the people that matter most to me because I don't have very much free time anymore. So my buddies hit me up on the weekend. Hey, let's go out. I'm like, I've got to go back to work on Monday, or I'm traveling. I'm going to spend the weekend with my kids because I'm not going to see them for a week. It's just having kids just changes the perspective on everything, because I have 3 people I have to take care of. My wife is a stay-at-home mom. She's never had to work since she's been with me, and that's something that I take a lot of pride in. I want my wife to be there for my kids. I don't want a nanny or something to raise my children. My wife's an amazing mother. I want my kids to be around her because we're teaching them the right morals, the right way to act, and that goes a long way, especially in today's day and age. Living in California, I got to be really careful who I'm surrounding my kids with. I got my daughter enrolled in a private Christian preschool last week, and she just started school. She loves it. But again, it's making sure that my child's in an environment that's going to raise her with the right values. I'm a very conservative man, and those values, I'm a man of God, and those are the values that my child needs to have to be able to navigate this world that we live in today, because it's too easy to get lost in what's going on, and having outside people, influence your children or put something that's in their mind that, isn't up to our moral code of our family.
Do you think, it sounds like everything in your life is firing on all cylinders. Do you think having a prep in that environment could potentially put the best version of you without the stress, without the
Well, he kind of did it last year, but
I did. I went and prepped in Denver.
Would you do it again?
Not there, no.
Okay.
Would you do it at home?
Yeah. One of the biggest reasons I didn't do it at home was because we don't have a good gym for me to train out of there.
Okay, talk about that.
But you will soon.
So there's a lot of corporate gyms in our area. I train out my buddy's gym. Jack Culture it's been a great little hub for me, but it's just a little smaller. As a bodybuilder, I like to have a variation of equipment. Especially as I gotten older, I've used a lot more machines to take care of my body, and we don't have a gym like that in our area, let alone a solid hub or a area for bodybuilding community. When I come out to Vegas, I love going to these gyms because there's other bodybuilders around. It's motivating. We're able to, bounce ideas off each other. We're able to network. It's just, it's fun. And that's what I like to be around. And that's why I'm opening Stoic Gym in Roseville here in June, is to give the athletes, an opportunity to have that hub so they can grow and network. I have so much knowledge and experience in the sport of how to not only make it on stage, but how to make it off stage. And I feel that if I can find that next Chris Bumstead, that next Jeremy Buendia, the next Ryan Terry, who knows, the next Jay Cutler out of my gym that I can mentor, that's going to be such a huge accomplishment to be able to know I was able to play a role in their success. Because I know how much the sport has given me. I live an amazing life. I've been extremely blessed, and I've never gone without, and it's because of the sport. And I feel that people just need to understand of how to tap into that.
So you're out here in Vegas for a convention.
Yeah.
Talk to me about
I'm working with Skelcore. It's an equipment company based out of Miami. We've been around for about 18 months, and the growth that these guys have accomplished in 18 months is unheard of. It's absolutely insane. I own 100% of my gym, but they are definitely helping me out with great prices on equipment. And, I also do sales and help with product design as well. And we're coming out with a bunch of new innovations for the brand. The hype's starting to build up. The name is starting getting out there. Like I said, it's only been 18 months, and it's buzzing. And we're competing with some of the top brands right now. We're getting into corporate gyms. We're doing these smaller box gyms. We got into Anatomy in Miami, which is super exclusive gym chain out there. We don't even call it a chain. There's like 4 of them. But it's just the continuous growth and always looking for that next big thing for myself. And as for the competing and the sponsorships, as my career comes to an end on stage, how long are these endorsement deals and sponsorships going to stick around? I'll always have probably something, but not necessarily the money that I'm probably making right now. So being able to build this gym and have my hands in, a company like Skelcore, that's going to be able to provide me something sustainable for the rest of my life. And also it gives me a lot of pride. I wanted to be able to build something on my own. I've had sponsorships swept out from underneath my feet. And it can happen in a blink of an eye. It can happen with one bad mistake or saying something wrong. I went from making $1 million a year to making nothing overnight, literally overnight. And when my daughter was born, I spoke about this before, I was down to my last $10,000. I was injured, hadn't trained for a year. I didn't want to bodybuild because of how my reputation was destroyed. I was scared to come back to the industry. I didn't want to go to shows. I didn't want to be a part of it because I felt like everybody hated me. And when my daughter was born, I didn't graduate from college. I've done nothing but bodybuilding and training and fitness stuff my whole life. And talking to my family, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next. I wasn't even thinking about becoming a cop because I was like, oh, good pension, it's a good solid job, make some money. And I thought to myself, I was a very good student. I went to UC Davis studying biology. I didn't graduate because I started bodybuilding, but most professionals, they spend their 20s to 30s, schooling, going through med school. If they want to be a doctor, they spend all their 20s. It's like somebody going through med school, becoming a doctor and saying, you know what? I don't want to do that. That's kind of how I felt with bodybuilding and my social media platform. I spent my whole 20s building this huge platform for me to monetize and make a good living off of, and I was going to stop. No, I need to go back. I need to fix things. I need to rebrand, and I need to come out and rebuild. And over the past 2 years, I've been able to do that. And, you know, I've been able to change a lot of minds. And it's, I think it just comes down to growing up. You know, being in my 20s opposed to being in my mid 30s now, you just learn a lot. You learn how to handle people. You learn
You're not mid yet, bro. Come on now.
I'll be 35. That's mid.
Not yet. Don't push yourself.
Soon. You're almost mid.
I feel it, man. But it just comes down to growth. And after going through the hardships I went through, it built me up as a man where, you know, I can take the mistakes and not be angry about them, but take them as learning lessons and be more appreciative of the tough times I went through, because my story has helped people. It has shown people that you can fall and you can get back up. You don't got to be stuck hating yourself for the things that you've done in the past. You don't got to put yourself in that box of what your past necessarily has defined you as, and you can grow and evolve. And I feel a lot of people can relate to that, because whether they're in the public eye or not, people go through a lot of shit. And sometimes people can't get out of it. And I don't want anybody to have to feel the way I felt during those times, because it was empty. It was painful. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I couldn't sleep at night. And a lot of it was bitterness and hate towards other people. It was a lot of finger pointing, a lot of blaming. And it wasn't until a point where I took those responsibilities upon myself and realized there was nobody else to blame but myself for allowing certain people in my circle and allowing myself to listen to them and allowing myself to be influenced. It was all choices. And as soon as I came to terms with, you know, not hating people, but accepting it and forgiving, was when I was able to grow and, you know, come into my own and be more confident. And I think I lacked a lot of confidence early in my career. And just trying to, you know, find my place as a man of who I am and what I represent. And, you know, over the course of the last 4 or 5 years of having a family, you know, those are the opinions that matter to me. You know, I came home from the gym the other day and I had a nice pump. My daughter walks up to me. We were actually watching one of my YouTube videos from London. She saw all the fans coming up. She looks at me. She gives me this like little side eye. I was like, "What's up, babe?" And she comes over. She gives me a hug. She goes, "Daddy, I'm so proud of you." I was like, that was the best thing. My heart melted. Yeah. You know, seeing the appreciation that my wife has for the work that I do and her understanding I'm on the road a lot, you know, it's because
well, she competed before, so she knows. She goes.
Yeah, right? She has. But, I mean, most of the time, you know, lately, the past few months I've been on the road. She's at home with 2 kids, a 4-year-old and a 5-month-old kid.
That's a lot. 24 hours a day.
It's all day. My wife doesn't sleep. And I got a lot of respect for it, because she allows me to get my rest, because she knows I need to get up, train. I got clients. I got to be on top of my game. I work for 7 different companies. So it's like, she knows I have to get my sleep in order to be my best. And she's stepped up to the plate and had my back in those regards. And that also comes back to finding the right woman. I've gone through, you know, publicly a handful of really bad relationships, and, you know, finding the right woman in your life will elevate your game and make you a better man. And when you find that woman, you'll know. And I attribute a lot of my success to my wife.
That's awesome, man. So this is a high point of your life right now.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, but you talk about, I always talk about, like, I'm 51 now, so I always talk about, like, the best years of my life. I'm in the early stages of 50, but I can tell you that when I retired at 40, people think that because I won in the 30s and was on top of the world and became this guy.
It was over. Yeah,
I think
on decline,
after 40 were the best years.
Well,
between 40 and 50.
I get that right now. Buendia's washed up, you know, these divisions outgrown, you know, all this stuff. Oh, you're a has-been. I'm like, you guys have no idea what I'm even working on right now.
So it's awesome that are you busier now than you've ever been, do you feel like?
Yeah.
Like, don't you feel like the switch never shuts off? And that, I mean, obviously it entices you because you have that little girl telling you it's how proud they are. And, you know, when we sit here and drill, like, on our podcast, we want you to say, I'm getting ready for the Olympia. But in the sense, like, it just kind of tells the story of, like, there's a lot of things in place that come before competition. Now, I would probably say competition isn't like it's the forefront, you know, in a lot of years, but now it seems like it's it has its place, but maybe not in the front end.
And and that's also, you know, one of the biggest contributing factors of my, you know, or my mind is in regards to becoming Olympia champion again. I can't give it that same attention as I was. Like, it was all about bodybuilding, competing and winning again. And I didn't let things pull me any other direction up until like 2018 when shit fell apart and I was partying during my prep and stuff like that. But when I was a champion, I mean, it was locked in. It was locked in when 16, 20 weeks were up, or when we were out 16, 20 weeks. It was just nothing but prep. Nothing else mattered. And you can't do that nowadays. You know, I have other priorities. I got to make sure that I take care of my family. Got to make sure they're taken care of first. And if prep takes away from business, takes money off the table, and can't do that.
When can we expect the gym opening to be?
The mid June. I'm waiting for my equipment to land here in May before I have a final date, but we'll be open in June sometime.
I guess we got to plan that because I'm coming up there for that.
I would love for you to be there. I would love for you.
Anytime people are doing something good for the community, you just support them.
Yeah,
everyone.
It's going to be exciting. It's buzzing pretty big around our town right now, and you know, there's a good amount of competitors in Sacramento that have been dying for a gym like this, and
there's a lot of fighters there too that would still want to train at a
we
regular workout.
We got Team
gym.
Alpha Male out of Sacramento. It's funny. I actually Anthony Hernandez, aka Fluffy, he just won. He's like ranked number 8 or 9 now at the 185 division. Him, Andre Feely. You know, I used to help with those guys their diet back when they're amateurs. I'm good friends with Max Griffin. He's another guy that's in the UFC fight. It's been in the league for years now. I think
California Kids there.
Who?
Well, he
California Kids.
owns it. Yeah.
Is that who owns that?
Yeah, Alpha Male.
Okay, yeah. So there's a big market for it out there. Like I said, there's just a bunch of corporate gyms and not really a hub for bodybuilders to come together and network and share their passion.
Well, excited, man. Who do you want to shout out? A lot of people, right?
Huh?
A lot of people, right?
There's a lot of people. I mean, I want to thank. First off, I want to thank Vanquish, my clothing sponsor. I've been on and off with them since I was their very first sponsored athlete in 2016. When 2021 came around, after my daughter was born, I was in a really bad spot, and I had no sponsors. And I reached out to them saying I need some help. I want to come back. I want to rebrand myself. And no questions, they brought me back on and gave me a decent sized check to make sure that my family was taken care of. So I love Vanquish for that. I want to give a shout out to GAT Sports. Working with them the past year and a half has been awesome. They've been taking very good care of me. Transcend, they've helped keep me healthy. They helped my mental game big time. Like I said, I signed with them again in 2021 and was going through a lot of mental health issues, and they were to help me pull me back out of that with certain medications and stuff to get me back to where I needed to be. Father Sons, I've been on and off with them for several years. They've always been very supportive, and they help me out a lot as well. Flex Pro Meals. I'm a massage therapist. I mean, this guy's given me probably $100,000 worth of massages. I also want to say thank you to Hani Rambod for all the years of helping me get myself off the ground.
I saw you in the podcast.
Yeah, we've recently reconnected, and our relationship was so much deeper than just a sponsor and having a coach. Like, we were family. I loved him. I still do love him, and he went out of his way and sacrificed a lot for me. A lot of people don't even know about, and I don't even think he gives himself enough credit for the things that he did for me. Fairness, I thank her for putting up with my shit all these years and allowing Hani to coach me. So, I mean, it's.
Were you surprised when he stepped away from the coaching thing?
No.
Because he seems like he's still doing a lot. I mean, he's got his facility down there. I see all these guys.
He is, but Hani, I mean, he invests so much emotionally into his athletes.
He does, yeah.
And that takes a toll. I know the toll I took on Hani when he was coaching me. There were so many things that, probably not going to say on camera that he did for me that not many people would do. There's so many times people told him to drop me and get rid of me, and he stuck by me. And the whole reason of me leaving Evogen was on me. I chose to separate myself, and that was only because of my own ego. My parents, they've been in my corner since day one. My parents would do anything for me. So I'm very, very grateful for them, and I live like 2 miles from them, so I see them regularly, and we rebuilt our relationship over the past 5 years, and it's been crazy. It's been a journey. My wife and my kids, they're my number one. Wouldn't be here without them. That's my motivation nowadays. And you, Jay, dude, you and Phil, I mean, you guys are the guys I looked up to. You guys are the ones I sat at that table and I was like, man, I got a lot of catching up to do. And you guys always set a good example. For you, seeing how you navigated this industry. And like I said, I've never heard anybody say anything bad about you. And for how many years you've been in this sport, to have the respect that you have, it's well deserved. And there's only a handful of people that we can probably say that about. So I got the utmost respect for you, and I appreciated all of the things, even a little, you just checking up on me during a hard time. Like, thank you for that. Scalecore, I've had a huge opportunity with them that presented itself last year, and they're giving me an opportunity for my life after the stage and the life beyond sponsorships. And, opening up my gym has been a dream of mine for so many years, and it's finally coming to life. But also we have something much bigger planned beyond just my first gym. That's going to open up some huge doors for myself. That's going to put me in a very good spot in the years to come.
They just sent me the treadmill.
You like it?
Sent
The treadmill?
Yeah.
Smooth, huh?
Yeah,
What would you say the biggest difference with Scalecore and some of the other brands out there? What sets them apart?
We have such a wide range of equipment. I mean, we can do home gyms. We got cardio equipment. We got all the accessories. We got flooring. We got turf. We got recovery equipment. We got the top of the line, pin-loaded, plate-loaded machines that you're going to see in, the anatomy gyms.
Is there some here at the
EOS?
trade show?
Yeah, we have.
I know EOS has it here.
We got 17 pieces. We brought some of our newest innovations out here at URSA. That's why we're out here this weekend for the equipment convention. But we've come out with so many new innovations, and I'm really excited to showcase those things this weekend. We have a lot of interest from so many different gyms right now, not just here nationally, but globally. We're growing exponentially, and they're very well connected. And I'm glad I aligned myself with these guys, because I know aligning myself with individuals like this, they're going to be the ones that are going to help facilitate me to the top once again.
It's awesome. We appreciate you coming on. We've been looking forward to this, actually.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the opportunity.
Especially you have reinvented yourself. Not a lot of people do that or even have the opportunity to.
Yeah.
So it's a good positive story.
Shout out to God first off, man. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have the blessings I have in my life, even through the hardest times in my life. And then maybe I didn't see him at the time, but God blessed me immensely. Throughout those struggles, he had to take everything away from me in order for me to see the light. And forever in debt to that, and forever my Lord and Savior. And yeah, man.
We just see you on the up and up, man. So we'll see you. We appreciate it, and now we look forward to seeing you in the future, man.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Of course.